Now let's get another perspective on all this. I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by the President of the United Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero. Thanks a lot for joining us on the news at 10.
Much.
So 27,000 is the result after all the long negotiations and the talks, sometimes going late into the night. TUC and NLC have weighed in. What do you think?
Well, I don't think that 27,000 naira is our product, especially coming from the National Council of States. I don't know their rule, their constitutional rule in fixing salaries. It has not happened before. And for them to wade in now to advise Mr. President on 27,000 naira minimum wage does not change anything. At most, if they were ready to advise, they could have advised before negotiation commenced. After negotiation and the parties agreed on 30,000, not even the National Assembly can change that figure.
So are you saying that the parties agreed on 30,000 and
clearly,
not this 27?
Clearly, and submitted the 30,000.
But that's not what the government seemed to be saying.
Well, government can say no other thing. At the tripartite committee, what was submitted to Mr. President was 30,000 naira minimum wage. And Mr. President promised that he was going to transmit it by 23rd. And by 23rd being tomorrow, workers in the country will still be expecting Mr. President to transmit 30,000 naira minimum wage to the National Assembly.
So are you saying what the Council of State has done is what now?
No, it's illegal. The Council of State doesn't have powers to fix salaries and wages. If they're advising Mr. President to announce a figure, at most that would be an award, wage award. It has nothing to do with minimum wage that a tripartite committee negotiates.
Well, looking at what has been released today now, federal workers will be paid 30,000, as they've said. So is it left to the states now to decide whether to top it up? And bearing in mind that some state governors have already said this is not going to work for us. So, I mean, how do you think this arrangement will work out?
This is the first time in history that you are going to have a discriminatory minimum wage. State this, national this. And I don't know how the National Assembly will do it. Because in amending it, the National Assembly will put there that the new national minimum wage will be this. So for you now to go into a discriminatory minimum wage, state this, national this, and then you decide for them the markets where they will buy, the schools where they will go. I don't know how they're going to operate it. And there will be a lot of problem here. So
are you saying from your perspective that no further negotiations? Because as you see, you know, the TUC have already said this is going to go back to the National Assembly. And from what you're saying, talks are over. 30,000 is it?
Yeah, 30,000, 30,000. At the National Assembly is another theater. Their job is to, you know, append that the new national minimum wage from 18,000 is now 30,000. And that's their job. So if anybody is tinkering with it, the person had no basis calling for a tripartite committee to negotiate initially. Mr. President is free to announce a wage award. I will pay workers 100,000. That one is different from a minimum wage all over the world.
So what options are open to Labour now? Just take, for instance, this 27,000 is what is the government's final offer, last word, as they say. Is it going to be strike again, seeing that people are already wary of strikes? What would you, I mean, yes, you have said 30, but in the event that it ends up as 27, then
we have not even embarked on any strike, talk less of strike, being strike weary. No, we're expecting that Mr. President, as a man of honor, who promised to transmit the new minimum wage to the National Assembly, and he knew that the recommendation was 30,000. By tomorrow, we transmit 30,000 naira to the National Assembly. If by tomorrow he didn't do same, then the labor unions will go back to the drawing board.
All right, President of the United Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts on the news at 10 tonight.